Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. I'm sorry, Alex. You're a wonderful friend, but I just don't feel that way about men, she had said, her voice gentle but firm. He gripped the edges of the sink, knuckles turning white. How could he have been so blind? All those movie nights, coffee dates, and long conversations, he'd misread every signal. Emma wasn't interested in him because she was attracted to women. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut, leaving him winded and lost. Drying his face with a towel, Alex trudged back to his bedroom. The apartment felt emptier than ever, the silence broken only by the occasional car passing on the street below. He flopped onto his bed, staring at the ceiling fan spinning lazily above. Sleep eluded him, his mind racing with what-ifs and if-onlys. As dawn broke, painting the sky in hues of pink and orange, Alex made a decision. He couldn't go on like this. He needed help, not from friends or family, but from someone who could truly change his fate. The idea had come to him in the twilight hours between night and day, a desperate plan born of heartache and magical thinking. He'd heard whispers of a sorcerer who lived on the outskirts of town, someone who could bend reality to their will. It was crazy, of course. Magic wasn't real, but at this point, Alex was willing to try anything. He dressed quickly, pulling on a faded blue t-shirt and jeans. As he laced up his sneakers, doubt crept in. Was he really going to do this? Seek out some charlatan who claimed to have mystical powers? But the alternative, living with this pain, seeing Emma every day and knowing she'd never love him back, was unbearable. The drive to the edge of town took longer than expected. The sorcerer's home was hidden away down a winding dirt road surrounded by ancient oaks that seemed to whisper secrets as Alex passed. He parked his car and approached the small, dilapidated cottage with trepidation. Before he could knock, the door swung open. A figure shrouded in a dark cloak stood in the doorway, face hidden beneath a deep hood. "I've been expecting you, Alexander," a raspy voice said. "Come in." Alex hesitated for a moment before stepping inside. The interior of the cottage was dimly lit, filled with strange artifacts and bubbling potions. The air was thick with the scent of incense and herbs. "How did you know my name?" Alex asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The sorcerer chuckled, a sound like dry leaves rustling in the wind. "I know many things, young man, including the reason for your visit. You seek a way to win the heart of Emma, the woman who does not return your affections." Alex nodded, too stunned to speak. The sorcerer moved to a cluttered workbench, fingers dancing over various vials and bottles. "Love is a tricky thing," the cloaked figure mused. "It cannot be forced or coerced, but perhaps we can create the right circumstances for it to bloom." The sorcerer selected 2 small bottles filled with a shimmering, opalescent liquid. "These potions will change everything. One for you, one for Emma. Once consumed, they will align your hearts, allowing love to flourish where it could not before." Alex reached for the bottles, hope and desperation warring within him. "How much?" he asked, already reaching for his wallet. The sorcerer held up a hand. "The price is not measured in money, Alexander. The magic will exact its own cost. Are you prepared to pay it, whatever it may be?" Without hesitation, Alex nodded. "Anything, I'll do anything." "Very well." The sorcerer pressed the bottles into Alex's hands. "Drink yours first, then ensure Emma consumes hers within 24 hours. But remember, magic always comes with a price." Alex clutched the potions to his chest, heart racing with anticipation. He thanked the sorcerer and hurried back to his car, the bottles safely tucked in his jacket pocket. As he drove home, his mind whirled with possibilities. Soon, Emma would see him differently. Soon, they'd be together. Back in his apartment, Alex stared at the 2 identical bottles on his coffee table. The liquid inside seemed to dance and swirl, hypnotic in its beauty. Taking a deep breath, he uncorked one of the bottles and raised it to his lips. "Here goes nothing," he murmured. then downed the contents in one gulp. The potion tasted like nothing he'd ever experienced before. Sweet and bitter, hot and cold all at once. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a tingling sensation spread through his body, starting at his toes and racing upward. The world began to spin, and Alex collapsed onto his couch, unconscious. When he awoke, the sun had set and his apartment was bathed in shadows. Alex groaned, his head pounding. He sat up slowly, feeling different, off balance somehow. He stumbled to the bathroom, flicking on the light. The scream that tore from his throat was higher pitched than he expected, because staring back at him from the mirror was not his familiar reflection, but that of a woman. Long chestnut hair fell past her shoulders. Delicate features replaced his once angular jaw. And her body. Alex's hands shook. "What? What happened to me?" she whispered, her new voice strange to her ears. Panic set in as the reality of the situation became clear. The sorcerer's warning echoed in her mind. Magic always comes with a price. This was the cost. Her very identity, her gender, changed in an instant. Alex, no, she couldn't think of herself as Alex anymore, sank to the bathroom floor, overwhelmed by the transformation. She needed a new name to match her new self. After a moment's thought, she decided on Jane. It felt right, somehow. As the initial shock wore off, Jane's thoughts turned to Emma and the second potion. What would happen if Emma drank it? Would she transform too? The idea both terrified and intrigued her. With trembling hands, Jane reached for her phone and dialed Emma's number. It rang several times before a groggy voice answered. "Alex, do you have any idea what time it is?" Jane's breath caught in her throat. How could she explain this? "Emma, something's happened. Can you come over? It's important." There must have been something in her voice. Fear, desperation, or simply the change in pitch, because Emma's tone shifted immediately from annoyed to concerned. "Are you okay? I'll be right there." While waiting for Emma to arrive, Jane paced her apartment, trying to come to terms with her new body. She changed into clothes that fit better, a pair of leggings and an oversized sweater, marveling at how different everything felt. The knock at the door made her jump. Taking a deep breath, Jane opened it, bracing herself for Emma's reaction. Emma's eyes widened in shock as she took in the stranger before her. "I'm sorry. I must have the wrong apartment. I'm looking for my friend Alex." "Emma, it's me," Jane said softly. "I know this is hard to believe, but I'm Alex, or at least I was." Emma's brow furrowed in confusion. "What are you talking about? This isn't funny, Alex." Jane stepped aside, inviting Emma in. "Please, let me explain. You're going to want to sit down for this." Over the next hour, Jane recounted everything. Her feelings for Emma, the visit to the sorcerer, and the transformation caused by the potion. Emma listened in stunned silence, her expression cycling through disbelief, concern, and finally a hint of curiosity. "So you're telling me you're now a woman? Because of some magic potion?" Emma asked, her voice tinged with skepticism. Jane nodded. "I know it sounds crazy, but it's true." "And there's more?" She retrieved the second bottle from where she'd hidden it. "This one is for you. The sorcerer said it would align our hearts, allow love to flourish. But after what happened to me, I'm not sure what it'll do." Emma stared at the bottle, conflict clear on her face. "Alex, Jane, I don't know about this. It's too much to process." "I understand," Jane said, setting the bottle on the coffee table. "I'm not asking you to drink it. I needed you to know the truth." They talked late into the night, Emma asking questions about Jane's new experience, and Jane doing her best to articulate the strange sensations and emotions coursing through her. As dawn approached, Emma stood to leave, pausing by the coffee table. "I need time to think about all this," she said, her hand hovering over the bottle of potion. "But I'll consider it. You've always been my best friend, Alex. That hasn't changed, even if you have." After Emma left, Jane collapsed onto her bed, exhausted physically and emotionally. She drifted off to sleep, wondering what the future held for her in this new form. Days passed, and Jane slowly adjusted to her new life. She called in sick to work, using the time to practice speaking and moving in her changed body. She shopped for new clothes, marveling at the variety of styles now available to her. And all the while, she waited to hear from Emma. Finally, a week after her transformation, Jane's phone buzzed with a text from Emma. "I'm ready. Can I come over?" Jane's heart raced as she replied, inviting Emma over immediately. She paced nervously, straightening up her apartment and checking her appearance in the mirror. The woman who looked back at her was becoming more familiar, but still felt like a stranger in many ways. When Emma arrived, she looked pale and determined. "I've been thinking about this nonstop," she said as she entered. "About you, about me, about everything. And I've made a decision." Before Jane could respond, Emma strode to the coffee table and picked up the bottle of potion. With a deep breath, she uncorked it and drank the contents in one swift motion. "Emma, wait!" Jane started, but it was too late. For a moment, nothing happened. Then Emma's eyes rolled back and she collapsed. Jane rushed to her side, cradling her friend's head in her lap. Emma, can you hear me?" Minutes ticked by like hours as Jane waited, her heart pounding. Finally, Emma's eyelids fluttered open. But the person looking back at Jane wasn't Emma, at least not the Emma she knew. Emma's long hair had shortened, her delicate features sharpened. In Jane's arms lay a man, handsome and bewildered. What happened?" The voice that emerged was deep, rich, and unmistakably masculine. Jane helped him sit up, her mind reeling. "The potion, it changed you, just like it changed me. Emma, how do you feel?" He looked down at his transformed body, then back at Jane. I don't know, different, but also right, somehow." He paused, considering. "I don't think I can be Emma anymore. Call me Evan." As the reality of their situation sank in, Jane and Evan spent hours talking, exploring their new identities and the strange twist of fate that had brought them to this point. They laughed at the irony. Jane, once a man in love with a lesbian, now a woman. Evan, once a woman attracted to other women, now a man drawn to Jane's feminine form. Days turned into weeks, and Jane and Evan grew closer than ever before. They helped each other navigate the challenges of their new genders, from clothing choices to social interactions. And slowly, inevitably, their friendship began to evolve into something more. It happened on a crisp autumn evening as they walked through the park near Jane's apartment. The setting sun painted the sky in brilliant oranges and pinks, casting a warm glow over the changing leaves. Jane shivered slightly in the cool air, and Evan instinctively wrapped an arm around her shoulders. They paused by a small pond, watching the ripples caused by a family of ducks gliding across the surface. Evan turned to Jane, his expression soft and vulnerable. "Jane," he said, his voice low and gentle. "I never thought I could feel this way about someone, but these past weeks with you, it's like seeing the world in color for the first time." Jane's heart fluttered in her chest. She reached up, cupping Evan's cheek in her hand. "I know exactly what you mean. It's like everything in my life was leading to this moment, to us." Their lips met, and in that instant, all the confusion and fear of the past weeks melted away. They had found each other, against all odds and logic, through a twist of magic and fate. As they broke apart, both smiling widely, Evan chuckled. "You know, when you told me about going to see a sorcerer, I thought you'd lost your mind. But now, I'm grateful for whatever cosmic force brought us together like this." Jane nodded, nestling into Evan's embrace. "Me too. It's not the path I expected, but I wouldn't change it for anything." They stood there by the pond, holding each other close as the last light of day faded and stars began to twinkle overhead. Their journey was far from over. There would be challenges ahead as they continued to adjust to their new lives and bodies. But they would face those challenges together, bound by a love that transcended gender and defied explanation. As they walked home hand in hand, Jane thought back to that desperate night when she'd sought out the sorcerer. She had been willing to pay any price for love, never imagining the form that price would take. But standing here now, with Evan by her side, she knew it had been worth it. The magic had exacted its cost, but it had also given them a precious gift, the chance to see each other with new eyes, to fall in love not despite their changes, but because of them. In losing their old selves, they had found something beautiful and rare, a love unbounded by expectations or limitations, free to grow and flourish in ways they never could have imagined. They entered the apartment together, closing the door on their old lives and stepping into a future bright with possibility. Whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them side by side, their love a testament to the unpredictable, transformative power of magic and the human heart. In the years that followed, Jane and Evan built a life together that defied convention and expectation. They supported each other through the ongoing adjustments to their new bodies and identities, celebrating milestones and comforting each other through moments of doubt or dysphoria. Their friends and families were shocked at first, struggling to understand the dramatic changes. But as they witnessed the deep love and happiness Jane and Evan shared, most came to accept and embrace their new reality. Those who couldn't accept it faded from their lives, replaced by a supportive community that celebrated their unique journey. Jane pursued a career in writing, drawing on her experiences to craft stories that explored themes of identity, transformation, and unconventional love. Her debut novel, inspired by their own story, with a healthy dose of artistic license, became a bestseller, touching hearts and opening minds around the world. Evan discovered a passion for advocacy, using his platform to speak out for transgender rights and promote understanding of gender identity issues. His personal story of transformation resonated with many. As they approached their 5th anniversary, Jane and Evan decided to return to the sorcerer's cottage. The winding dirt road seemed shorter now, the ancient oaks less ominous. They knocked on the door, half expecting it to swing open on its own, as it had years ago. Instead, they were greeted by a kind-faced elderly woman, her silver hair tied back in a neat bun. "I've been waiting for you, too," she said with a warm smile. "Come in, come in." Inside, the cottage was bright and airy, filled with plants and the scent of herbs. The clutter of magical artifacts was gone, replaced by cozy furnishings and shelves lined with books. "You're not the sorcerer," Jane said, confused. The woman chuckled. "I am, my dear, or rather, I was. Magic takes many forms, and sometimes the greatest magic of all is letting go of the need for it." She served them tea in delicate porcelain cups, listening intently as Jane and Evan recounted their journey since that fateful day. When they finished, the former sorcerer nodded sagely. "The potions you drank weren't meant to change your bodies," she explained. "They were designed to open your hearts and minds, to help you see beyond the surface and love the person within. The physical transformations were a reflection of your deepest selves, the forms in which you could truly love and be loved." Jane and Evan exchanged glances, a lifetime of questions answered in those few sentences. "So, the magic, it came from us?" Evan asked. The woman nodded. "The most powerful magic always does. I merely provided the catalyst. You two did the rest." As they prepared to leave, the former sorcerer pressed a small, ornate box into Jane's hands. "A gift," she said, "for the life you've built together." Back home, they opened the box to find 2 simple gold rings engraved with intertwining symbols of male and female. Tears in his eyes, Evan dropped to one knee. "Jane," he said, voice thick with emotion, "will you marry me? Not because of magic or potions, but because I love you. All of you, exactly as you are." Jane's answer was a resounding yes, sealed with a kiss that felt just as magical as the one they'd shared by the pond years ago. Their wedding was a celebration of love in all its forms. Friends and family gathered to witness their union, marveling at the journey that had brought them to this point. As they exchanged vows and rings, Jane and Evan felt the magic that had transformed their bodies pale in comparison to the magic of their love. In the years that followed, they continued to grow together, facing life's challenges with the unshakable bond they'd forged. They traveled the world, sharing their story and inspiring others to embrace their authentic selves. They created a home filled with laughter, love, and the family they chose. And on quiet evenings, when the world outside fell away, Jane and Evan would look at each other and see not just the people they'd become, but echoes of who they'd once been. In those moments, they were grateful for the twist of fate that had brought them together, for the magic that had revealed their true selves, and for the love that had blossomed against all odds. Their story became legend, a testament to the transformative power of love and the magic that resides within every heart. And though they never again saw the sorcerer or drank any magical potions, Jane and Evan lived out their days surrounded by a different kind of magic, the everyday miracles of a life shared in love, understanding, and mutual respect. As they grew old together, their physical appearances changed once more, but the love in their eyes remained as bright as ever. They had long since stopped questioning the how and why of their transformation, focusing instead on the beautiful life they'd built together. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.